I am super excited always about our guests, but today we have a very unique segment for you. We have two top real estate professionals. One is in San Francisco. That's right, a very exciting marketplace, San Francisco. She is Denise Paulson. And we have from another very exciting marketplace, Leslie Thompson. She is in Austin, Texas. And not only are they going to tell us about what's going on in those respective markets, but Leslie and Denise have a unique partnership as they work with Compass Real Estate. They have a super thing together. We're going to hear about that, how they're helping their buyers and sellers in each of their markets. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about that? Here we are joined by the telephone lines or the cloud or wherever it is. Denise, first of all, let's tell people you are in San Francisco with Compass Real Estate. Tell us a little bit about your company and what's going on in San Francisco.
Well, San Francisco's market is busy, even in a bad market, and more on that later. But San Francisco is one of the first 5 cities that Compass entered into. And I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, I was approached by them a few times, and I just didn't want to change my email, but then they came in and then they acquired the company I was with, and so I was happily stuck with them, and I'm very happy to be with Compass.
Well, and it's very interesting, too, just saying the words. I mean, right away when I hear the word San Francisco, I can't help but see the Golden Gate Bridge, and I also very rapidly, all the movies I've seen with San Francisco as a backdrop appear before my eyes. It's a tremendous place. And in Austin, Texas, things are very exciting there as well. Leslie Thompson with Compass Real Estate. Leslie, tell us a bit about Compass in the Austin area and what's going on.
There are exciting times in Austin, and Compass is a key player, especially in the luxury market, which is where Denise and I focus. Austin has recently found itself on kind of a national, international radar screen with so many businesses wanting to leave other areas for the fact that we don't have a corporate income tax and we don't have a personal income tax. And so many employers and companies are finding that, per the Austin Business Journal, they're saving 15 to 30% on taxes by relocating to Austin and providing a better quality of life for their employees. So Denise and I just joined Compass after being recruited by Denise. So it's an exciting market, and we're glad to be participating.
Let's tell people about this partnership. I think that's interesting. Real estate professionals all over have tools, and they have resources, and people are the resources. However, to have 2 major cities, to have that partnership, give us a word, Denise, about how the partnership took place between these 2 cities.
Absolutely. Leslie and I have known each other since the early 2000s. I want to say it was 2001 or 2 when I met Leslie. I was having a party and she showed up. We just had a connection, and during the party and after several cocktails, I said to her, and she was planning, by the way, to go back to Austin the next day. Her truck was packed and her dog was ready to go, and she was going to drive back to Austin the next day. And I owned a concierge company at the time and did work in real estate, mostly for investors at that time. And I really needed someone to help me. And after hearing about her history in the real estate market in Houston and the surrounding areas of Texas, I begged her to stay and come and work for me. And the next morning she called and she said, "Are you sure that you mentioned that you wanted to meet with me. And before I get in this car and drive off, I want to be sure that you meant it. It wasn't just cocktail talk." And I said to her, "Be in my office Monday at 9. And she stayed for about 5 years. Is that right, Leslie? Is that about right?
Yes.
5 years?
Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And she helped me with my concierge company, and she licensed stuff in the California market, and she and I were very busy during that time. So we had that history. When I saw the Austin market begin to light up, I contacted some of my investors who buy from me sight unseen, by the way. So when I say investors, they're not coming to Austin with me. to hunt for property. They assigned me a task to make, I have a formula that works very well, which we can talk about later. But anyway, I went into the market with two investors, and Leslie procured those deals for me. And, I was here, she was there. There was some paperwork to be signed, and that was pretty much it. And that's how it began with the two of us from San Francisco to Austin.
It's always interesting to see how partnerships evolve, how they begin and how they evolve. But Leslie, also tell us, it sounds like you were in the Houston market at one time too, and then moved to Austin.
Yes, I graduated from University of Texas, and my first job out of college was working for Coldwell Banker Commercial Real Estate Services, and I focused on office leasing. And I did that for several years, and then ended up moving on and getting into political fundraising, and eventually moved out to the Bay Area to be a .com millionaire, like everybody else was doing at the time. And after good experience there and lots of learning, I was really at a point where I was burnt out on that startup environment, and I just happened to meet Denise, and then ended up getting my license back in California as well. Years later, we've always stayed in touch via our friendship, but we happened to be talking on a phone call, and she was like, "Your city is hot. I'm bringing my investors there." And so I renewed my license, and we've been focusing on the downtown luxury market. I was recruited to Compass, but once I got there, I was just delighted to have the resources. Compass is kind of a fairly new company and has taken a new approach where their customers are really the agents, and they have the resources and the technology, the in-house marketing experts. And so it's just been an amazing experience being at Compass.
So, and we've talked to many Compass real estate and other real estate professionals here in Houston, but what's interesting is your partnership sounds, I don't know that a lot of real estate professionals do this, but your partnership makes this very special to be able to help buyers and sellers in both markets.
Yes, that's right. And one of the things that we do well, and Leslie knows my formula, because remember, many, many years ago, she worked with me within that formula. So what I do is we invest in condominiums, luxury properties, so the high end, and we cater to the C-level executives. And so we buy these condos. We have interior designers come in and furnish them, and then we lease them up with our fancy marketing tools. And Compass is a big part of that, by the way. They've been really helpful to my business. And that's basically, in a nutshell, what it is that we do for the clients in San Francisco and the clients in Austin. Both places have a demand for this type of rental market for the busy executive who just needs a place to get acquainted and settle in right away to get to work with all of these startup companies in both areas.
And Denise, let's tell people the price point of these properties in San Francisco.
A one-bedroom, you can get into a decent, beautiful one-bedroom for $1.2 million, and you can rent a furnished one-bedroom in that same building, perhaps, for $6,000 minimum and up to $10,000 a month. And then a two-bedroom would lease up in the market of approximately $10,000 a month furnished, and that would cost around $3.5 million. And then my three bedrooms go from $4.5 million and up, and they lease up at the $20,000 plus price range.
Now, if you would, we're saying these properties are in downtown San Francisco, right? But paint a picture, if you would, as to what we're seeing in terms of views in San Francisco, or these properties in a nutshell, if you would.
So, for example, I have a one-bedroom furnished that I just leased up in a new building in a hot neighborhood with views of the Bay and the Bay Bridge with some buildings in and around on the 21st floor, and that one leased up furnished for $6,000.
Okay, so now let's go to Austin, Texas, where Leslie Thompson is. Paint us a little bit of picture, Leslie, about what's driving that growth in Austin and the demand that's going on right now that is, I'm hearing, is just incredible.
Right. Well, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that there's not a personal income tax or a corporate income tax is very desirable for employers to move here and the opportunities of lower cost of living for their employees. So we've got Tesla, Google, Amazon, SpaceX, Apple, Facebook, Oracle, just a lot of these big major employers that are moving their headquarters to Austin. And so along with that comes C-level execs, and that's kind of where we're focusing. So there really is right now a fairly limited inventory of that high-end luxury market in Austin. One of the buildings that we've sold in a lot is at 70 Rainey, but others of that quality would be Fifth and West, the Austin proper, the Residence at the W, the Independent, Four Seasons, the Austonian. People that have been investing or paying prices in San Francisco that could be anywhere from $2,100 a square foot up to $4,000 a square foot are quite pleased with the $1,200 a square foot prices in Austin currently.
And Leslie, geographically, where is the Compass office that you work out of there in Austin, Texas?
The Compass office is right off of Mopac on Bee Caves. There is also a downtown office in downtown proper.
And as far as you helping your buyers and sellers, do you do that geographically, or are you focused on downtown, or are you all over the Austin area?
We primarily are focused on the downtown office market, but there are a lot of other opportunities that just happen to come out in of doing our business where we may be expanding a little further out or occasionally a single family home type situation. But for the most part, we're focusing on the downtown Austin market.
When they get to Austin, Texas, what are the things, let's say they come, well, we hear about people coming from California, but also where else are you seeing people come from to go to Austin? And those that have never been there before, what are the things that they tell you after they either lease a property or buy a property as far as their impressions of the city and of Texas?
Well, they love the walkability. There's a very vibrant downtown activities that are happening. They love we have Lady Bird Lake that runs right through Austin. And so it's just the walkability, I would say, is the biggest. And also all of the music and the views from our building. Like one of the units we just sold has an amazing view of Lady Bird Lake and the sunsets every evening. And so whereas a lot of local people, one of the benefits with Denise and I is that she has a broader perspective than just the local perspective. So some buildings that local people may not find at the top of their list, people coming in, we just leased an apartment to a children's book author who came from Brooklyn, New York. And so they love certain areas that maybe locals wouldn't. So I think the one of the benefits with Denise and I is that I have the local knowledge and local network, and she has a much more, through her investors, a national and international perspective, and we're getting that word out to people looking for opportunities in Austin, Texas.
We're talking with Leslie Thompson. That was Leslie right there. She's in Austin, Texas with Compass Real Estate, and Denise Paulson in San Francisco, also with Compass Real Estate, with this very unique and exciting partnership. Give us another word, Denise, about how it works. Now, you're also doing things outside of just working with Leslie, but periodically, I guess throughout the week, you'll have collaborations of sorts, but you're also doing things on your own out there, person to person with your clients, right?
First of all, yes. Leslie and I are just getting started. So we've had 3 transactions that are about to turn into many, many more. So the word is just out that that I've got an arm and a leg in Austin, and Leslie's my team player and partner, and she's exercising all the work. And in San Francisco, I have a team that works with me, and I've got 4 people that are busy, closing deals once a week, either a lease or a sale. So I'm doing the same thing Leslie and I are doing together in Austin in San Francisco.
In fact, I'm thinking there may even be clients, either have had them already or will have them. I think if money's no object, I might want to be the person to have a nice home in Austin as my base and my no state income tax base, but yet I might want to lease or buy a property in San Francisco from Denise to enjoy those super views and the weather. Is that okay?
That's okay with us.
There you go.
Give us a call and we'll get you hooked up.
Well, people are listening. I'm not sure how many millions it is right now, but we are the 4th largest city, this Houston, Texas, where we broadcast from. Who knows who's listening, and that could very well happen, and I hope it does, because really, Austin and San Francisco are 2 beautiful, wonderful cities. Give us a little bit about your background. Let's start with Denise. We didn't talk about that initially, but you have a very unique background. Let's tell people about that.
I'm on my 3rd career. My first career, for 25 years, I was a litigation paralegal in San Francisco, working at all the top firms and for the top lawyers here in town. In 97, I had an idea when the first .com experience came to San Francisco to start a business, and it was a concierge business, which turned into much more. So in the long end, I had 11 buildings and 18 employees for 10 years, where I trained, coached, and managed the front desk at commercial buildings and residential condominium buildings here in town, and performed research and development for the residents and the tenants of those buildings. For example, the concierges were notary publics. They sold stamps and transportation cards, and they were able to make reservations and perform all R&D. So whatever those residents and tenants of those buildings needed, they were there to take care of it. Some of those desks were 24-hour desks, and so it was a very busy business, and that's where Leslie came in and really helped me a lot. In 2008, which is when all of those buildings, or most of them, one by one, decided they didn't need my contracts anymore, they wanted to keep my employees, so I sold them the employees. So I turned from concierge into recruiter and cut some deals with all those folks, and they got to keep my employees, which made me very happy for everybody. Then I just turned my attention to the real estate field, and that was that was since 2009 or so. I did take a year off, and then here I am today. So 23 years plus of building my real estate relationships has been a real joy.
And Leslie, let's tell people, Leslie Thompson in Austin, Texas, let's tell people a little bit about your background.
Well, like I said, I started in real estate, and I have had many different careers spanning from marketing and high tech to political fundraising to sports athletes, sports marketing. Even I still have on the side a welding business where I like to weld furniture, fire pits, outdoor type fountains, those type of things. I just found myself, after being burnt out from all of the high tech and honestly aging out, that it was time for me to find something else. And so, like I said earlier, just connected with Denise and reinstated my license, and we have been going full blast ever since. And so for me, it's just a full circle back into real estate from when I first started out in my first career back in the late 80s. Because I have had my salesman's license in 1987, my broker's license in 89, then I got my license in California. So I've always dabbled in and out of real estate throughout my long and varied career. And so I am happy to be back and working with Denise, and it's just been such an exciting journey so far. Within the first 4 months with Denise's closing, we have listed a luxury condo, negotiated 2 full-price offers, sold, and closed it. And so, like Denise said, we're just getting started, and it was a great first transaction.
Well, today, with this phone call, this three-way phone call, there are 2 of our show firsts for Real Estate Matters. Number one, this is the first time we've had a San Francisco real estate professional, and also the first time we've had a welder on the show, as far as I know. So that is tremendous. Let me ask you this, Leslie. As far as Austin, Texas, let's say someone never saw Austin or is not aware of the wonders and how nice it is to live in Austin. Give us a bullet point on why you loved living in Austin, Texas, in case someone wants to know.
I would say the restaurants are fabulous.
Yes.
The outdoor activities, from hiking to kayaking, paddleboarding, all of that's available and accessible. The music scene is still quite vibrant. And then just the friendliness of Austin. We're growing. It's definitely changed from when I went to school here in the 80s. There is construction everywhere. There's even a website called the Crane Watch. You can see all the different cranes that are around the city. So it's growing and changing. But at the very base of it is still the down-to-earth Austin, keep Austin weird. So it's just a unique place to live and visit.
It really is. Also, one of the things I like is the terrain. Living in Houston, many people know that live here and visit, it is super flat. So that's the beauty of having something that has hills and those things in the state of Texas. Now, Denise, Paulson, right there in San Francisco, if someone maybe never seen a movie with the Golden Gate Bridge or never visited San Francisco, tell people what you love about San Francisco and why that's a great place to move.
Well, being born and raised here in San Francisco and really never living anywhere else, that's an easy one. It's familiar to me. The changes that have occurred over the years have been, I think, wonderful. Not everybody agrees. I like that people, during the COVID pandemic in the beginning, everybody left San Francisco. Not everybody, but a percentage of people wanted to get out of controlled environment condominiums and such and went elsewhere, and it opened the doors for other people to come to San Francisco, which is what I experienced here with the leasing programs and the buying programs of these condominiums that I work in. So I've been delighted to see that. And, we have a very interesting art community. We have amazing restaurants. I mean, how long do we have to talk about that? But, and then it's a walking city. So, when visitors come, the tourists come, they find a way to come back and live here. And those are the stories that I hear on a regular basis.
Well, this has been a very interesting segment, ladies. Before we wind up the segment, Leslie, let's tell people what else you would like them to know.
I am a member of the DARA luxury group at Compass, and that came about via Denise when she was recruiting me, found me just the right home, and it's been great to be a part of DARA's luxury team. And then I also in addition to our partnership in real estate, I feel very honored to have also be a student of Denise's coaching practice. And without her guidance, I would not be able to have pivoted like this and moved into my final career. And so, Denise, you want to say a little bit about your real estate practice, your real estate coaching practice?
Sure. Well, over the years, there aren't many leasing agents in San Francisco. And over the years, I've had agents run up to me and say, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I will say one question, and I'll give them the answer to that question. And it's not usually a few words, but it's a long answer, and I help teach them what to do. So while the pandemic had us restricted from going out, I had the idea that I should start up my coaching career, coaching real estate agents only, by the way. So I started that in April of last year, and I've had about 12, I think I'm on my 12th student, and it's been a complete joy to offer those services. And I do have a separate website for those services. There's some testimonials there that you can learn a little bit about what it is that my students have garnered from their experience.
And what is the website, Denise?
It's easy. It's Denise Paulson, Paulson.com.
Denise, Denise, Paulson.com. And the people that you're helping or will help, are they in San Francisco, or you're helping them all over the United States?
They can be anywhere. Okay. It's just real practical advice. We create their curriculum together. I get to know them a little bit, and then we come up with a plan on how I can pivot them to move it forward. And, it takes years and years and years. There's no school for the real estate student. And, coaching, I think, is what every real estate agent needs at some points in their career.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. First, we're going to tell people how they can reach you, Denise Paulson in San Francisco. Denise, give us the coordinates on your Compass website and also your phone number, if you would, please.
Thank you. It's Denise, Denise, Paulson, Paulson, at Compass, just like the compass, .com. And my text or talk is 415-860-0718.
Once again, that's 415-860-0718.
Yes.
And Leslie Thompson right there in Austin, Texas. Let's tell people how they can reach you.
My email is Leslie, Leslie, .l.thompson, Thompson, at compass.com. And my cell for text or talk is 512-971-9773.
That's 512-971-9773. There's another distinction. In fact, John's right here. What's that other distinction, John, with Leslie and the group?
Well, her mom was my math teacher.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yes.
So yes. There you go. And also something about Alvin, Texas, right?
No, fighting Yellow Jackets.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate it. You can reach Denise right there in San Francisco at 415-860-0718 and Leslie Thompson in Austin, 512-971-9773. But thank you all so much for being on the show.
Great to be with
you.
Thank you.